Hello everybody and welcome. This is the Midnight McBride show and this is show number 44. Woohoo! And on this show I've got my friend and the first person ever to come onto this show 3 times, and it'll be the 3rd show we've done on ultra running, and it's Mr. Gareth Kilshaw. Hello.
Hello.
Gareth. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Now we're going to call this show 127 Miles to Home, and it might seem like an unusual title, but that's what this show's all about.
It is.
Yeah. So, Gareth, you've been on the radio with me twice.
Yeah.
You're now on this show 3 times. And you can basically get where water can't get. We're doing this like special show because you've recently done a 127-mile run. You are an ultra running champion.
Thank you.
Great accolade. Great accolade, yeah. Now, let's start with the run. There's lots to talk about here, and this was one of the easiest shows I've ever had to prepare for because it took me 10 minutes to rack up about 20 questions. It was easy because it's my passion. It's
Yes,
what I love.
that's what I was going to say. It's definitely your passion.
Yeah. So first of all, we'll say who you did the run for, because you were sponsored, weren't you? You were doing it for charity.
I was doing it for the RNLI. As you know, recently I've took a job at the Liverpool docks, and it was through working there. I've seen the work that the RNLI do. A lady who works at the docks, Nikki, also volunteers for the RNLI, so I got a good insight from her. And of course, at this time, just like all charities, the fundraising's gone down. The RNLI are very much do collections by bucket collections and being out on the street and meeting people. Yeah. So all that's gone this year, but call-outs have actually gone up because when lockdowns ended, people have gone out more. They've gone to the seaside, they've gone to cliffs, open water swimming. Yeah. So their call-outs have actually gone up where the funding's gone down. So one of the dockers, Tommy, was very keen for the docks to be affiliated with the local lifeboat station because if anything happens to any of the dockers, that's the people who'd be coming to save them. Yeah. So we talked about it, and this is when it come up with an idea of me being able to do this run. It also gave me the opportunity for the next 3 months in work to talk about running to everybody, which...
Yeah, because you needed encouraging about that, didn't you?
Well, I needed to have an excuse to talk to them about it because not many of them are runners.
The RNLI is one of the charities, I put them in sort of a different category because the people that work within the RNLI risk their lives.
They do.
Not all charities do that.
No.
You know, they're risking their lives to save people. So it's a very valiant cause, I think. How much did you raise in the end, Gareth?
We're looking around about 3,600 when everything comes in, which is fantastic.
That's exceeded you.
Yeah, we had a target of 2,000. I think it's 2,100 kits. One of the volunteers out from head to toe to go to sea in these terrible conditions. So we was really hoping we could get that figure. So you could see what you'd got for the money, but to get 3,600 is
so
really
just
good.
For one sort of suit, one bit of kit.
Yeah, the jacket, the boots.
Now, we'll talk about the run you did for charity. You do other work for charity, or have done other work for charity as well, which includes mine, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Again, a fantastic cause, Gareth.
Yeah, and again, at this time, another cause that needs to be
massively.
Yeah,
I think everybody I know, without exception, has experienced, a lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, tension, not feeling great, mood swings, mood change, because, there's a lot going on in the world at the minute, and it's very uncertain, and so it's more now than ever relevant, isn't
yes,
it?
Definitely.
Yeah. So the run you did, right. Now, this is when it gets interesting. You did 127 miles. Now, when the pre-show chat, I talked about, from my experience, this then puts you, it's a very unusual distance, and I'll explain why. 50 miles, 100 miles, you're doing it in one hit, like the Tester 100 we've done, and you've done many times. Or you go up to, then you jump up and you can go up to 180, 215, bigger distances. But what you do then, they're done over 4 days, and you'll factor in small amounts of sleep. Again, you know about this because you've attempted the GB Ultra on a number of occasions as well. The 127, you ran it as a single run, so no sleep factored in. You're doing 127 miles in one go. And, wait for it, you broke your 24-hour 100-mile.
I did, yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. That was a special moment, yeah.
Yeah. whatever happened after that sort of became irrelevant. Obviously, you want to finish.
Yeah.
But that, I know for a while that had been your goal.
Yes.
And there is not many people that have done that. You know,
No.
it's a serious achievement, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this 127 miles, let's start with the route. So the route you did. Now, I know the initial route you were doing, it was a flat, which you weren't crazy about. But
Yeah.
for lots of reasons at the moment, it's probably good. And you're running solo.
Yes.
You know, so you don't really want to be stuck on the top of the Brecon Beacons doing your 100 mile on your own.
No.
You know, you're doing a flat run. But you also, it was going to be the Leeds to Liverpool route. Now, maybe tell us about the original route and then tell us how that changed.
Yeah. Well, the Leeds to Liverpool Canal sort of has a love-hate relationship with me. I've done a lot of training on there. Like when I first started getting into ultras, I used to run up and down there, and I did my actual first ultra distance on there.
Yeah.
I just went out, run 26 miles one way, turn around and run back. So it's always been there. And when I do any of my long training in the week, I'm always up and down it. Near where I live, the Lee branch leads on to the Leeds to Liverpool Canal.
Yeah.
I'm working in Liverpool at the docks, and my daughter lives in Leeds. So when I'm thinking of what to do for this run, this springs to mind. And it's something I've always said I'd like to do.
Is your branch the Bridgewater Canal?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I know where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it just stuck in my mind that I'd do that. I'd run from my works to my daughter, and that's where we was going to go. Obviously, things got in the way of that, and we had to make sure we have to follow the guidelines, and we have to make sure that we stick to the rules. So because lockdown was coming in, literally the weekend before the run, I mean, they just held off another weekend, but
Highly inconvenient.
yeah, but we had already factored this in, and we did have
Very
a contingency
smart,
plan. So, as all ultra runners absolutely love an out and back,
Yeah.
I thought that I would plan three out and backs.
This is the thing with an out and back. Until you've done it at that distance, you don't understand. Even with a 50, if you're running, my first ever run also was the Canal of Fun,
Yeah.
which was a 24 out, 25 back, whatever. I think it was a 47 mile run, but I actually got lost, so it was a 50 mile run. And originally the thing that got me into ultra running was the Leeds-Liverpool Canal race. You know, that was my aspiration, but I never ended up doing it because I started running with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about an out and back is, for me, I like doing a big loop.
Yeah, me too.
That's the way I like to run. I don't like doing laps, you know, which you've done a lot of.
Yeah.
And an out and back is soul destroying because you get halfway and instead of having a change of scenery and you're moving in one direction and you focus forward, you get to a point you think, oh my God, I've got to do that again.
Yeah.
And you're going back and it's psychologically seeing the same landmarks and it just seems further.
Yeah, every step you take forward, you know you've got to take that step back, which in any walk of life is a quite a strange concept. But it was the way that it could work the best. So I could start from home, which I also liked the concept of starting from home and also including the Bridgewater Canal, the Lee branch, because literally that is my stomping ground.
What you cleverly did with this run is, because I know you wanted to make sure you followed the guidelines, and that was you started from your house and you finished at your house.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was fantastic because as much as it had been good to go all the way to Leeds, that had been a long car journey home for everybody, for the girls, you know, my crew. They would have been up and, you know, for quite some time, sleeping in the car and stuff like that. So for the whole of us, you know, that hour back from Leeds would have been quite a journey where I just walked in the house and started my recovery straight away.
Yeah, stick the kettle on, Kazza.
Yeah. So what we decided to do is, so that it minimised the amount of time the crew had to come out to me, so we would cut down on the checkpoints, but they could also stay at home and just travel from home to the certain points to meet me.
Brilliant.
So that then they were out all the time following me along.
Yeah.
So we started from home, run to Wigan, which is the Lee branch, and that's where it joins up with the Leeds to Liverpool Canal. That was the first bit of the out and back. And then I wasn't to do that back bit till right at the end. That would be the end loop. So then I turned to go to the next out and back, which was actually 35 miles out, 35 miles back. So a 70-mile out and back, which...
Not nice.
I'm not sure if that's a record.
See, at the end of the Chest of the 100, there's an out and back, and you sort of, I don't know, 96 miles in, and then the last 4 miles, you throw it in, and it seems like forever, doesn't it, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing, which is, you know, you did the right thing, I think, because you left home and finished at home. Imagine you're doing a 127-mile run and you get 115 miles in and somebody comes along and says, I'm sorry, sir, but you can't do it.
Yes.
It would be soul-destroying,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
You know? This would also explain with what you're saying about your route now, which is far more complicated than the original straight line.
Yes.
Is why on the Saturday I could not find you on the GPS.
No.
And I even know it took me a while to figure out which direction you were going in, but I hadn't seen the route beforehand because
Yeah.
you changed it, fairly late on.
Yeah.
But what I did manage to do is on the Sunday is just come and just run a very small section with you.
Yeah.
A mile or 2 miles, and I felt really privileged. It was nice.
Yeah, it was lovely to see you. And, I'd seen quite a few people had popped up just to say hello on the route. I did have my pacer at night, Johnny, who was fantastic and definitely one of the reasons I got the sub 24. He was fantastic. He pushed me just enough, but without tiring me out too much. He let me lead, but led me gently. Everything that you need. He was a really good guy.
I mean, you did it comfortably, though. It was 23 and a half, wasn't
Yes,
it?
yeah.
So that's a nice buffer zone,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah, definitely, yeah.
I don't think anybody, until if you haven't run 50, you can't begin to imagine. If you haven't run 100, forget it. Even when you've done 100, to then go past that without factoring in the sleep, the dark places you're going to go to.
Yeah.
I saw you, and on the Sunday, and I could clearly see you were weathered and tired.
Yes.
But under the circumstances, you looked remarkably well.
Yeah, I was coming out the other side at that point. As I say, Johnny paced me through the night. He lived in Blackburn, so he met me near Burscough. He'd come a bit earlier. When we looked like we was going to get the 100 on, he actually come down. He was supposed to meet me at Wigan, and he come to Burscough so that we could push on to get the time. And he, as I say, he really helped me with that. And then we got to Blackburn, and he went. And so it was 5:30 in the morning. I sat down in the car, which was the first time I'd sat down since setting off at 6 o'clock on the Saturday morning. I hadn't actually sat down at all up to that point. I'd literally had one other major pit stop, which was about 10 minutes when I got into my night gear, but I didn't sit down to do that. And then he left me and Nicola come and join me. But then it was like, as we set back off, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And now I work nights. I finish work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everything was saying to me, it's time for bed, Gareth. And I was actually saying to Nicola, I could just lie down in that mud for 5 minutes. Obviously, as you know, Nicola, she was not having any of that. Yeah. And I knew she wouldn't, and I wouldn't have done it. But I could have. It looked so comfy. A big pile of mud on the floor looked like the most comfiest bed I've ever seen.
Sometimes this wonderful, as in the Chester 100, this wonderful, beautiful... this oasis halfway 50-mile pit stop where it's nice and warm, they've got nice food, and isn't your friend.
No.
Sometimes I also think that you want to get as much of that distance out in 1 or while you're still moving as you can, because once you stop for a pit stop, especially the latter stage, very hard to get going again, isn't it? You've got to dig deep. Yeah.
And we did for about an hour, and maybe an hour and a half. We were really slow. I was really tired. I was out, but I knew I could dig in and I could push on. There was no way I wasn't going to finish the race. I just had to do that. Apart from anything else, going back into the canteen with all the dockers would have been... they would have let me know I hadn't finished it. Put it that way. They was all following me on the tracker. I know.
I was as well.
Yeah. So I just knew, and I was getting lots of support, a lot of support from the GB Ultra community, a lot of support from the wider community, and some lovely messages. And then after about an hour and a half, I come back round, I got picked up. Now, my feet had swollen at this point because just constantly pounding on the flat. It's not what I'm used to. I'm used to changing the direction of my feet up and down. So that was a new phenomenon to me. But I knew we could get on. And we actually started getting some good running back in then. And, we could put together some bits of running. It was good. And it was good for me to go there and come out the other side and push on and see what I was capable of. I got a lot out of the experience.
When you see the sun come up on the second day and you've made it through the night, it's almost like the daylight and the night reflects your mood because the night is dark,
Yeah.
And then the sun's come up and you think, I'm going to do this. I've got this. And you start to believe in yourself again and you've got it's back on, innit?
Botany Bay, was just like a thing. I knew because me and Nicola had run out to Botany Bay before. We'd run home from there, so she knew where that was and everything. So the bit from Blackburn to Botany Bay was quite dark, but when we got there, we seen that and we sort of like, back in familiar surroundings. We know that was like a moment where we're like, yeah, we know what we're doing now. We know where we're going. Let's
on the home stretch
yes,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think, a misconception, which I learned, because my first race was flat, if you're doing repetitive road running on a flat surface or a canal run on a path, slightly different, but you get a whole other set of problems and joint aches and injuries that you don't get when you're using the different muscles and different movements on trail. It's easier on the cardio on the lungs, because you're not pushing up hills, obviously, but it's not so friendly on your body. Your body likes range of movement, doesn't it?
Yes, most definitely, yeah.
I know from running on the flat myself. I mean, I still do some running on the flat, and it's nice. It's like an easy day. It's nice. But put it on a long distance, the flat's not your friend.
As I was going into Burscough on the night, it was starting to get dark. It was a bit where I wasn't feeling the best, but I had such excruciating pain in my calves, coming up my calves and in my feet. And I was like, I just don't know what to do. And I was trying to get to the checkpoint to the girls in Burscough. And then I realised I had to stop and take a moment because I was too focused on trying to get to the checkpoint, which just seems to be moving further and further away. That was playing with my mind. And I needed just to stop and reset for a moment and have a look. And I sat down on this big rock and I just lay back for a second. And then I sat back up and I looked down at my feet and as my laces, because my feet are swollen and my shoes were quite new. So they hadn't worn as much as some of the others. So they hadn't relaxed and I probably hadn't loosened them as many times as the others. Were too tight. And I undid them and it was like...
it can be painful, can't it?
It was painful, but... that pain all just went. My mood changed totally. It didn't matter how far Burscough was now because the further Burscough was, the closer Wigan was. So, because that was eating the miles away. So if it was 10 miles to Burscough, that meant it was only 8 miles to Wigan, where it was, Burscogh's never... all that just changed. And that's what you've got to remember. You're going to go in them dark places, but you have to sometimes just reset that. And that's the real difficult part, to know when to do that and when to, most people, you wouldn't want to stop, but just that 2-minute stop on that rock changed the whole aspect.
Sometimes, because you have to, with your mind, learn how to override pain when you're doing ultra running, because you're going to experience some pain and discomfort. And so by doing that, sometimes you're not actually aware of the sensations in your body and stuff. And you can be suffering for quite a while before you figure out what it is that's bothering you.
Yeah.
And exactly the same thing. If I do over a certain distance, my feet swell a bit. And I've learned that I actually have to set off, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours in, I have to loosen my laces a little bit and stuff like that. These are little things you learn.
Yeah.
And if your shoes are too tight, sometimes it took me so long to figure it out. And I was in major discomfort and I didn't know what it was, and it was my feet. But same. How many pit stops did you actually have, Gareth?
5, I think, in total, but really 3 of them were just to pick up water.
Yeah.
And there was the change into night clothes at night, which was about a 10-minute one, and the one in the morning was about 15 minutes, and that was it, or maybe a bit less than that.
So you didn't do your hour in the 50-mile marker like I did at the Chester 100.
No.
And I had hot food and listened to some music.
I had a pop noodle, which my nutritionist, the night before she contacted me, my nutritionist was brilliant. She actually planned, the first time I'd ever had this, she actually planned what I was going to eat from mile 0 to 15 onwards. So literally, I just got a bag and I had everything in that I had to eat in that time. But she told me that I could have this pot noodle, but she told me not to tell anyone ever that she'd recommended a pot noodle to somebody.
What's she called, Gareth?
Lauren Bond. And she's my PT's wife.
Right.
She's a PT in her own right, but she's also a very good nutritionist.
Yeah. Because when we talked before you did the run, when we did the show, the pre-show, you were saying that you'd had to sort of change your diet pre this event, this 127-mile run, change your diet with what you were eating because you thought you had it all figured out, but actually the advice we're getting now is that maybe there were some things that you needed to change.
Yeah. The refined sugar all went, so the Haribos gone.
Then you're not going, hey-ho,
yeah, exactly.
hey-ho.
The Coke, which were things you sort of knew. Like last year, I moved away a lot from having the Coke at the checkpoints because I knew you'd have the Coke, you'd go off all up bright, then you'd crash. And also, that wasn't good because you'd just done your pit stop and it's a long time to your next one. Yeah. So you're crashing at the wrong time.
You're like Speedy Gonzales for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then your feet feel like lead after that, don't they?
So she really worked hard on that with me and gave me alternatives, apricots, there's a high five, little like jelly top things that do the same, but not the refined sugar in.
And I think on my first ultra, what I did is I did it all on gels.
Yeah.
And of course, you get sort of your 12, 14, 16 gels in and you start throwing up.
Yeah.
So you've got to vary it. I mean, I learned that from you.
Yeah.
I'd have my tailwind, but then I'd also have different kinds of snacks and my gels.
Yes.
And mix it up.
Yes, yeah. And that's what you do. You find what works for you, but getting the extra advice and someone who knew, who specialised in that field and worked and looked at it, and for them to plan what I was eating, roughly, we changed a few things around at what times. So she had me having the pot noodle at tea time and the pasta pot later on. We swapped them round, so I'd have something cold, the pasta pot earlier, and the pot noodle warm later on. Just them tiny things. But to have someone say to me, this is what you'll eat, you don't have to think about it. You eat this bag from this mile 0 to 15, you eat this bag from this, was brilliant. And one of the things she brought in was beetroot shots. Now, I have been using beetroot for a bit, the juice, but to actually use the shots, so I had one 30 minutes before the race started, and then I had one every 6 hours.
It's a superfood, isn't it, beetroot?
Yeah. And the shots really did. For me, they do sit tiny heavy on my stomach, but for a very brief period, so it's worth the payoff. And you definitely do feel a big...
With Ironman and with ultra racing as well, when you're really tired, there's the least decisions you've got to make, the better, because you make bad decisions.
Yes.
I certainly did. I made so many mistakes when I got to the back of the Ironman, and with the ultras, you plan everything beforehand, and then you're 70 miles in, it all goes out the window.
Yeah,
and you think, I don't feel like that, I'll eat this will be all right.
Yeah.
Or you don't eat anything, and then you plummet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I mean, I'm very lucky. I feel weird saying this, but the team I had around me, because I've got a team, but the people, the people I had around
Carol,
me, were just fantastic. And Nicola coached me this time, and this is the first time I've had a coach. But that was so good because it didn't do any empty miles. So I was going out doing 1 hour 45 runs with some interval training in that, and I was getting what I'd normally get out of a 4 or 5 hour training session so it fitted in with my life better. But
that
also,
sounds awesome.
but also you knew you could go out and do that, and it was so specific. It really, really helped. And again, like you said, someone saying to me, this is what you'll run this week, there you go, you don't have to think about it. And the 12-week training block with everyone come together and work together with the PT and everything, just made me so ready for the race, and my recovery afterwards was brilliant. With the Rixo, with the products, as you were saying before about the different bits of your body, my right knee flared up slightly. Not a thing I've ever had before, but luckily, if you work with a recovery company, they might have some things knocking about. So they had a prototype, that the China knee calf, which they rushed round to me, and so I iced my knee. That was brilliant.
I think when you have got a team round you like that, with people taking care of certain elements that are experts in that, your training plan, your diet, what you're actually eating on race day as well, or during the race and stuff, it means that you as the athlete, you can just focus on doing the run.
Yes.
Your mind's not, because there's a lot to think about, isn't there?
Yeah.
A lot going on. Tell us a little bit about, I know you used to be a big fan of marzipan. Did that have to go?
That's gone, yeah.
Oh, no. I'd even had a bit of that. Well, there we go. Tell us a bit about the kit, Gareth, because I know from my experience when I first started running to what I do now, the kit, you go through like this evolution of kit and you think, oh, that'll do, and then it's not good enough and you need better kit and better kit. So for a run of this distance, maybe run us through the basics of the kit you've got with you, and you can be quite specific about it.
Well, the first part really was my normal kit, my shorts. I'm one person that always likes to wear a base layer, because I do suffer with a bit of a chest infection. I pick up on the long runs, so I'm conscious to keep my chest warm. So I always wear a base layer, a thin base layer, and build up round that. So my kit for that was pretty much standard to what I normally have. Solomon Speed Cross Trail, I always stick with them, even though people go, "Well, you not go for road because it was flat?"
Yeah.
They suit me and they suit my feet, so that's what I stay with.
I was always amazed by that, because even when you're doing road running or long flat runs, you still wore those trainers, which are they're an out and out trail trainer, aren't
Yes.
they? You know,
Yeah.
and they have big lugs on the bottom
Yeah.
as well. And I didn't get on with those, but now, like you, I have a particular pair of trainers that I wear. And I wear them for everything now,
Yeah.
because I just get on with them.
Yeah.
I found them. I found,
Yeah.
the golden slipper.
Yeah, and that is the thing. Why would you change people? Why? They work for me, so why would I change anything else? And my feet know how they are working them. They know how I feel. So yeah, I always use them. And as I say, I always use a base layer, and I have my coat not only for when it rains, for when it gets cold. I always think a coat makes you feel right. It puts that outer hard shell on. You may get warm inside and you may sweat, but if you keep it warm and you've got all this warmness, keeps you warm.
I think maybe the wind, when you start a race, the wind is your friend, it keeps you cool.
Yeah.
When you get to the latter stages and your body cools down and you slow down, the wind's not your friend. And
No.
that's when these, windproof, weatherproof coats come in,
And then as we turn to night, I've learned over the time, you are going to slow down. There is going to be more walking involved. So I swapped my kit for heavier kit. So my base layer, I've now moved up to a Montane. Is it the merino wool, thicker base layer goes on. And also my coat changes to a thicker waterproof coat. Maybe people would think it was slightly too heavy. It's not thick by any means standard, but thicker than your normal running coat. Because, again, I feel if you can keep your core warm, then that's half the battle. You're not worrying about that, and that's not taking your mind off the job in hand, which is covering the miles.
I mean, at night, the temperature drops. You slow down a bit, your temperature's going to drop. And all of a sudden, it's a different ballgame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something I was going to ask you is, when you carry your pack,
Yes.
when you're doing a race, most races you have mandatory kit.
Yes.
And they'll do a check with you. Because this is driven by yourself, did you not, and obviously you've got people at certain points and stuff, could you take slightly less kit with you?
Yeah, no map, no compass.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if on a canal race they make you take a map.
They did when I did it.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's...
And I did get lost.
Well, let's brush over that.
Yeah.
If you've got the canal next to you, though, you know me going right.
I know.
At which point did you think there's no water there?
I've taken somebody with me to show them how I got lost, and when I explained it, they actually understood. It's where you cross the road, and the canal, it's in Hebden Bridge, and you cross the road to the canal, but you can't see the path on that side of the road, so you assume it's further up the road. And 2 miles up the road, I thought, I've lost the canal. So it's feasible.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I stripped down to just the basics that I need, So I would always carry a bivvy bag.
Yeah.
I would always have a bivvy bag with me. I would always have a light with me. So, I didn't take my heavy head torch till I got that off the girls later, but I had my light head torch because I knew that would take me through some little bits. Coat, I always have. And just first aid kit. So the basics, what I take out on every run, some toilet paper.
The look, well,
yes.
Of course, the luxury of having a crew means that, for example, when I've done certain races, you can at certain checkpoints leave additional bags.
Yes.
Like the halfway point, for example. So you could change your trainers or your kit or anything like this. But you have to preempt and predict what you're going to need.
Yeah.
And you can't change your mind, and it's set in stone.
Yeah.
With having a crew, you can say, actually, at 70 miles, I'm not feeling this. My trainers, I want those trainers, I want this.
Yeah.
You can let the race naturally evolve and adapt with a crew.
You can. And like you said about the drop bag, so we looked at wigging for changing into the night gear. If that had been a race, they probably would have done wigging as your drop bag area.
Yeah.
We changed it Bursco because that's the time I got there. It changed, it altered. Now, that's because I've got my crew. We can alter that. But if you're waiting for your drop bag, so I know at Chester, at 100, where the drop bag is, the second drop bag there, a lot of people had the night gear there, but we're already going through the night before they got to that night gear.
Yeah.
Because they can only put them in certain places, but, you know, if it's not gone as well as you thought, or you've not realised 67 miles is a long way to the drop bag, it's so...
And it's guesswork, isn't it? You can think, well, I know I should be there at this time, and it's going to be this o'clock, and this is the kit I'm going to need.
Yeah.
But you may go faster, you may go slower.
Yeah.
You'll go slower.
Yeah.
You're not going to go faster.
No.
So a big shout out to Nicola Bruce.
Yes, of course.
And she prepared your training plan for this event, didn't she?
She did.
I say event, it's your event, it's nobody else doing it. But
I won.
Well, oh no, I need to do it then.
First place, brilliant.
But Nicola's been pivotal in, because I've seen you do the races and I've known you for a couple of years now, and you seemed to be really on it with this. The training, the diet, on the day, you almost seemed to take it in your stride, this race.
Yeah, like I say, there was some dark places, but no, I felt really good about it. I felt coming into it, I felt good. I felt like I'd trained right. I really wanted it. I'm really looking forward to the event. And it all just went really well. And I enjoyed it. You know, after a year of being ups and downs and no running and things, it was so nice to just get out there, doing them miles, find the love for the sport that I have, you know. And 100 miles or 100 plus miles is my distance. I know that's what I like. I love the night running. I love that bit where, you know, it all goes dark or it all goes to shit a little bit. And you have to get through that and push on. And I just love all them elements.
I'd say that's one of the reasons why we do it, is to test yourself, isn't it? It's to push yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you grow and evolve as a human being, when you push yourself.
Definitely.
I couldn't believe when you came to the studio today, because I know, and I've got pictures of me after I did the Chester 100, and I was a mess. I wasn't good for about a week. It was difficult just getting up and down the stairs. I didn't feel great. I wasn't sleeping well. I was all over the place. You came in and went, hi, and you look healthy. You've got, you know, you're shining basically. You're full of colour and you look great. So the recovery, this part of your journey, which is just important as all the rest of the stuff, you must have that down. Yeah,
I am working with Rixo.
Yeah. And I'll just say a statement to you as well. We're not getting paid for anything here. The fact is, this is a company you're working alongside with and you're developing the products.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about them, because I don't know everything, but also about the technology, what they do.
Yeah. And not just the products. The owner, Cameron, he's helped me and designed stretches, calf recovery, active recovery for me. So he designed a program for me to work to, even down to after my normal runs, doing a walk, cool down stuff. You know, so he's opened my eyes to that side of stuff. We're really bad. Ultra runners, well, all runners are really bad at stretching.
I never stretch.
Stretching.
Never stretch.
Recovery, cooling down. We all just want to go out the door, run, come back, get on with our life.
It's so on the money, yeah.
But it's as big as part of anything. And I think this whole journey has shown me that. And with the training with Nicola, with the nutrition, with the PT, seeing all them elements, you need to push yourself and keep going further. Not to damage your body, you need to be taking these people's advice, and you need to be going on.
You've sort of approached this very professionally, haven't you?
Yes, I've tried to,
with a team. I think maybe if you speak to Rixo, am I saying that right? Rixo,
yeah, Rixo, yeah.
And see if they make me a full bodysuit.
Yeah. Well, that is where they're going. That they're looking at all different elements, because they strongly believe in the power of ice and the power of heat and compression.
Yeah.
To help muscles, aid the blood flow, to restrict them, to restrict the veins, to open them back up, to get the blood flowing in and out. They really believe that is the way to help recovery. Founded in a very strong background of sport and and knowledge.
On the last show, you brought some bits with you that we had looked at, and these were compression socks they go between your ankle and your knee.
Yeah.
But I'd worn them previously for Ironman when I did the running Ironman.
Yeah.
They were worn during the event.
Yes.
These you put them on and they have like ice packs in.
Yes.
Or cool pads or packs that you
Yeah.
put in the fridge, put them on, and you wear them after the event. Don't
Yeah, straight after. So because I finished at home, I literally come straight in before I had a shower or anything, put them on for 20 minutes. They've got ice packs in that are frozen. And for that 20 minutes, that compresses and cools and restricts the blood flow. Then you take them off and then I go and get a nice hot shower.
Yeah.
That has the opposite effect. And also you can use them for heat. And as I say, I was lucky enough that when my knee was hurting, Richard come straight round the next day and dropped me off. Now it's a prototype, so it was, it's a bit basic, but it definitely did the job. And that had ice round the kneecap.
Yeah.
So the kneecap come through, so there's nothing on the kneecap but ice round it. So it's compressing the ice round the kneecap exactly where you need it, and because it's compressing, so it's doing two jobs in one. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with it and the other products they bring out.
It sounds like, when you say prototype, it sounds like NASA or the Bionic Man, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's exciting when you're in at the ground floor with a product in that stage of development. That's exciting.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Gareth, now we'll talk about GB Ultras. A big shout out to Wayne and the team.
Yeah.
And I've recently got some new kit, bob hat, and a technical T-shirt and various other stuff.
Yeah.
They've generally this year been doing virtual races. I haven't done any. I'm very busy, and also I do like a lot of running on my own, and I like the events when you obviously you meet people. They aren't happening at the minute, unfortunately. So they've been doing the virtual races.
Yeah.
Now you've actually, due to your commitments, and it's a big undertaking to do it, you've stepped back from being a GB Ultras ambassador now.
I have, yeah.
I know you've done it for a couple of years, and it's probably a wonderful experience. I know, because I was on the end of being the punter saying, Gareth, answer my questions, please.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I've really enjoyed my time doing it. It's just, I think the time is right now. I'm focusing on other things. Me and Nicola will be focusing on next year. We'll be looking at maybe starting a little business within the running community, doing some guided runs and stuff like that. Nicola's looking at doing the coaching. So we don't want any conflict of interests. I also think they've brought some new ambassadors on. There's new people. It's nice to breathe fresh air into the business. It's nice for them to take it in another way. We're very good friends. Wayne's excellent. He loaned me a tracker, as he always does.
Yeah.
He's always on hand to give me some advice. I will be speaking to him very soon for some advice about where we might go with the business, me and Nicola.
Yeah.
So we're very good friends, and anything that he ever needs, he knows he only has to ask. Just times change, don't they? And people want different things out of life.
A mate of mine, Brett Parker, has done a few runs for charity, and Wayne has lent them trackers also. And he also gave me a technical T-shirt as well, which was very kind. So, really grateful.
Yeah. He's a lovely man, and I thank him. He brought me into the sport as such. As I was just coming into the sport, he helped nurture my love and my interest. I've been to some wonderful places with him. We've had some cracking weekends away. We've seen some excellent places, and we will again. There's no doubt about that. We know we'll do stuff together again. And
just a small thing, which we didn't cover in the pre-show chat, but I want to mention is, and this might inspire people at home, is the fact that you used to smoke, didn't you, Gareth?
I did, yeah.
People find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Because I used to smoke.
Yeah, yeah. And it was just after I'd stopped smoking and I'd gone to the electric cig that my brother taught me into doing a 10K. But he said, you'll have to give up the e-cig. So that went out the window, and I took up running to do the 10K, and it's gone from there. And I don't think Carol speaks to my brother now.
Right. But
she blames him totally.
Yeah.
No.
But no matter where you are in life, and you think, it's too late for me, and this is my lot, and I can't make change, you can start right now, make some good decisions. I say one good decision followed by another. The definition of a successful life is simply this: one good decision followed by another. Because when you make two good decisions in succession, you have a new direction, you've changed direction, it's a new path. And you can be smoking, you can be drinking, you can be eating unhealthy. You can change it all tomorrow.
Yes.
Because my life has a lot of people know was a mess for a long time, and it's not perfect, but it's a lot better now.
Yeah,
you know.
that's it.
And then finally, Gareth, what I'd like to talk to you about is what's next for Gareth Kilshaw. Now, there's two aspects to this. One is potentially where you might be in a few years from now, which is exciting. And also maybe with the running, now you've got this big race, this achievement out the way, what are your plans running wise as well, you know, personally goals and things.
Yeah.
So maybe those two.
Yeah, so we are hoping to move to Scotland. We were hoping maybe in a year's time, but we're bringing that forward. We've actually put the house on the market and we're looking at going as soon as we've sold up. And then we hope then to maybe, as I say, start a small business with Nicola, do some guided runs, take people on the hills, show small individual groups the love of running, the love of ultra running that I've had, that Nicola's got, our passion. We'll take them on places that we know, that we love to go to, and hopefully introduce people to this. And obviously, maybe show them some lovely parts of Scotland.
Yeah, I'm going to say Scotland is sort of ultra runner's Eden, isn't it? It's heaven, you know.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful parts, I think, especially as you get past Edinburgh and go up towards the top of Scotland in the UK. You know, beautiful. Yeah. And there's lots of canals up there, Gareth, and lochs.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and hills and all
it's
the
the hills we're going for, the hills.
Yeah.
And as for me, as I mentioned prior, 100 miles is the distance. So I will be doing lesser miles, but I think any race-wise, and that will tend to be figuring around the 100 or 100 plus. And then there's a couple of projects that I've got coming off that may be considerably a lot longer, and we'll work on them. But one of them we think will take 18 months to get to the level and to be comfortable to take on the challenge. But there'll be more personal challenges. I've got some races like you that's rolled over from last year.
Yeah.
If they go ahead next year, I will be doing them. There's a couple of good hundreds in there.
Yeah.
If not, then we'll carry on with the personal challenges. But then going forward, I think there'll mainly be personal challenges. That's what we like to do, like to get out there,
Well,
you know.
I think you've churned out enough 50s and 100s now where you're at a point where you need to look at sort of bespoke one-off projects, you know, with your team.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's funny you should say that, because what I thought was amazing is I brought Nicola in to join me earlier. There was supposed to be another person met me in the morning and they couldn't, for one reason or another, they couldn't turn up.
You don't need that on race day, do you?
No.
Ooh.
So, but I knew Nicola, so I just said to Nicola, right, you'll have to meet me in Blackburn and you'll have to run the 30 odd miles back with me. And she was like, yeah. And I suppose that's what I'm saying. When you know you're at a level where someone can just say, just come and run 30 miles with me in the morning, and you say, no problem.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know with Ironman, on the morning of Ironman, I had arrangements and plans, and that didn't go how it was supposed to. And on race day, you really need that structure you've got in place, that routine, the plan. Any variation on that on race day ain't good, is it?
No.
And I know obviously things happen. Obviously.
Yes, of course. No.
But I was panicking on the morning of Ironman because things didn't go according to plan. Yeah. Gareth, as always, it's an absolute bloody pleasure to have you on the show.
It's lovely to be here.
I love doing the show with you. I love talking to you. It's a passion of mine. And, you know, now we've come this far on the journey and we've become friends, and you inspire me, and I love to talk to you, and I still like to get tips and pick your brains whenever I can. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be one of the first guests up to Scotland when we're up there.
Absolutely.
We'll have you out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. I'm going to leave you with a quote now from a book, From Pills to Peace, and it's relevant to Gareth because he's an inspiration. And this quote is simply this: if you never give up, it's impossible to fail. If you keep going and going and going, and no matter what, you never give up, it's impossible to fail. You can catch this show on YouTube every week. We've now gone back up to 2 shows a week, and a few other projects that are about to go on the YouTube channel as well. 3 days after this show goes live, it then goes out as an audio podcast on Spotify, iTunes and Podbean. You can catch me on the radio every Monday night on Salford City Radio 94.4 FM. You can go to my website, midnightmcbride.com. You can buy the book on Amazon, and you can also get it as a Kindle version and an audiobook now on Audible and ACX. And you can catch me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook. It's been my pleasure, and I'll see you next time. Shalom.